Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name's Terric, or Terric if you want. My name's not a big secret. I don't I don't try to hide it. It's actually how I got my gamer tag Trek is because it's so similar to my name. When I was growing up, everybody just kind of started calling me Trek instead of Terric. But I just wanted to make a video today to just kind of introduce myself to the Destiny community. I've been around a long time. I've been around since not D1 Alpha, but a D1 Beta player. I remember playing a warlock in the Destiny 1 beta and hating it, and then becoming a Titan and never looking back. So I am a Titan main. I do play the other classes occasionally, but that's my preferred class. I would say definitely. Did way more hours than any other class. I played Destiny for just a long time, man. Just since the beginning, I've loved this game. And a big reason of like why I've loved this game and why I've played it so long is I have so many good experiences with this game. When it first came out, I was working with a bunch of people that we all kind of worked together, and we all ended up playing Destiny together. And so I had a really big friend group, that played Destiny, and we all just our lives kind of revolved around it in a certain way. And it was kind of all we talked about. We get off work, we'd go home and hop on and whatever, or whoever, and play together. It was a lot of fun. I remember the very first time we went to Volta Glass. It was actually really wild. The very first time we went, we were all this was like obviously a long time ago. We were all half wasted, honestly, like me and my whole fire team. We had been just goofing around, I think, playing Crucible and talking or whatever throughout the night, and somebody just got this random idea that was just like, hey, there's six of us, we should go to Volta Glass. And then we were all three sheets to the wind, and we're like, oh, okay, let's do it. And we go to Volta Glass, couldn't get in the door. We couldn't figure it out. We couldn't even figure out how to get in the door. We were just dying left and right. And we're like, okay, well, let's go to. This was during Crota's End, the Dark Below expansion, because Crota's End was out. Because we went over to the Crota raid, we went down the hole, and immediately got murdered by Thrall, and couldn't figure out what was going on because it was all dark and like there were lamps, and we're like, what? Was and so we ran back to the Volta Glass, and we ended up getting in the door and getting pretty far into the raid. But I know we didn't finish it the first night, I don't think. But I do think we got pretty far into it. But I've got like a ton of memories like that. But between like my friends or even like my kids, I have two boys. I have twin boys, and they're wonderful, wonderful kids. They love video games just like their old man. And it was one of my first thoughts when I found out I was having boys. I was having twin boys. I was like, sweet, like people to play games with all the time. And that's kind of how it works. They're always pretty down to play games, and it's a lot of fun. Um, but that's why I mean, other than obviously there's a thousand reasons about the game itself. I could go on, about the gunplay, the supers, the build crafting. There's a lot to Destiny to love. I think it's one of the best first person shooters out there, hands down. There's no other game in existence that offers you this. I think this variety of content, like this much content. I mean, obviously there's like Warframe and stuff, and they definitely have a lot of content too. But I just think that Destiny just did it the best, in my opinion, and it was always what I gravitated towards. No matter what game I put down or pick up, I always come back to Destiny, no matter what, dude. Like, I play Call of Duty, I'll play Warframe, I'll play whatever for a while, but it doesn't ever give me that same feeling. That same feeling as Destiny. Sorry if you hear me talking in the background of this video. I am recording over one of my gameplay streams of Tanks versus Briggs. Just because I thought maybe it would be kind of fun to watch me doing trick shots. I would do like a full talking head video, but honestly, like my webcam kind of sucks, and it doesn't look great when I do like a full screen thing. So you're stuck with tiny T-Rex, which is totally fine, I think. I feel like I'm not the star of the show anyway. I feel like it's the game that should be the star of the show. And that actually brings me to like my next point. Actually, it was a great transition. Pretty happy about that. Is that like what kind of content do I want to make about Destiny? I'm not a lore guy like Bife. Like I'm not the story master. I'm definitely not the guide guy like Dotto. He's and there's other people obviously. Those are just like two names that like immediately pop to my mind. there's tons of Destiny content creators and great content. I think there's space for everybody, no matter what. I'm just trying to, I guess, by saying that, I'm trying to narrow down, like, like what kind of content do I want to make, and like where do I fit into the Destiny community, and like what, like what do I want to do? And a lot of that comes down to just like wanting to talk about the game, honestly, more than anything. I just want to be excited. Like I am excited about the game again. And I want to share that excitement with people. I've definitely been in that spot, I had to make a conscious decision like a year ago with this game that, where I was like constantly like negative thoughts about it, negative on Twitter or whatever, and just like shit posting about it, and and just being like so mad about Bungie and this and that and the other. And there's things to be mad about for sure, I guess. But like, I would rather just try to enjoy my game and critique the game is fine, but like not be upset about it anymore. I got too much other stuff going on to be upset about a video game. I want to be happy about my video game. My video game is where I go to get away from the stress of real life. I don't I don't want the opposite of that. I don't want to go away from the stress of real life to go to the stress that's on my monitor, and I had to make a hard conscious decision about playing to just have fun, and that was really, really, really hard for me. I think it took me a long time to kind of really adopt that mindset, because it's tough to pull yourself out of something and change your habits and change your thoughts, but I did do that, and I'm really happy that I did that. And I've gotten to a point to where, like, I've been streaming, Destiny and other games, and like I really always have wanted to make Destiny content. And I guess the Destiny content I want to make is just talking about it. I want to talk about the game again. I want to be excited, and it's why I'm so excited for the new expansion, is the new story stuff, and there being unknown things to discover. I always love the unknown. I know I'll never get that same feeling back from Destiny 1 where I didn't know the game, because this game's not solved, but the systems are, well known and well documented to everybody nowadays, to where there's not as much mystery there. And so like I'm happy that there's going to be new things coming on the horizon that are going to bring some of that back for me, because I love that feeling personally. One of my favorite things, honestly, is going like out of bounds, just like going and finding an area I shouldn't be in yet, that isn't done or isn't going to be used or whatever. This is just like, the peeking behind the curtain is I think one of the funnest things when you're playing a game, and you just get to see some of that, the break the magician's illusion, if you will. And I like trying to see those secrets, and I think that's a lot of fun. But I like just talking about the game in general, talking about the TWAB, or talking about just new events coming up. And really, I guess it would just be me talking about the game, probably talking about news, probably talking about just like my thoughts on changes and stuff like that. But more than anything, I just want to share. I want to share my thoughts. I want to share my excitement. I want to meet new people. I want to meet more people in the Destiny community. Most of my friends have quit playing the game, over the course of 10 years, and which is a bummer, obviously, but there's a ton of other people to play with. And I've been finding that out through Fireteam Finder, that there's a ton of like really just pretty nice people, mostly. I mean, every once in a while you have like an encounter that just kind of like, oh, I'm playing with one of those people, and you just kind of get through it or whatever, but it's fine, But yeah, so I guess the kind of content I want to make is just, whatever comes to mind for me, really. I'm such an ADHD brain that I can't ever focus on just one thing. I always have to have like a bunch of different things to focus on. And not just Destiny. I probably will stream and make other content too, always. Just whenever a game interests me, But my main game's always going to be Destiny, I think, as long as Destiny's around. But I love first-person shooters. I love action games like Dark or Souls-like games, Dark Souls, games like God of War. I'm definitely one of those hard mode people that likes to try to beat the game on hard. Not on first-person shooters as much, though. First-person shooters I tend to not like on hard modes, because I feel like it just isn't even like a reaction time thing. It's just you get hit by these bullets, and like you get hit by like one bullet and you're done, and it sucks. And because you can't even like dodge or anything, really. But in Destiny, you can throw up barricades, and you have ways to mitigate and think about your situation. And so that's why I like Destiny. Is I like doing the hard content of Destiny, even doing like solo dungeons and stuff. I think is super fun because it forces you to think and play in a certain, like, you got to play and think about your situation and everything, and think about how to get through that situation on your own. I think I've always thought that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself to you guys more than anything. Just kind of say hello more than, yeah. I definitely not a professional YouTuber. I haven't made YouTube videos in a really, really long time. I used to have a channel a long time ago, me and a buddy. But I quit doing it, and just like he moved and it kind of fell apart. But yeah, I'm gonna keep posting Destiny content. I'm gonna be making like some shorts on TikTok and on YouTube, and just maybe some longer form videos if I can think of something to talk about for 8 to 10 minutes. But anyways, yeah, if you guys have any thoughts about Destiny or questions for me or just anything in general, just let me know below. If you made it this far in the video, if you watched the whole thing, thank you. Obviously, I mean, like, thank you so much. I know nobody's probably watching at this point, so it's kind of why I'm rambling. But anyways, have a good day, you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'll be posting more Destiny content here soon. So take care.